Welcome and welcome to the Poets Cafe. It is where artists come alive. The spoken word brings forth the inner creations of hidden treasure, expressing tones of lyrics that felt within the soul, a vibration that brings stories untold. This platform represents artists of all backgrounds, be it writers, singers, spoken word, artistic expressions in painting, literature, poetry, and a journey through life. Mystery seeks to bring new ideas and opportunities through the mind at all levels. Wherefore my time leaving tomorrow on the wings of yesterday, where birds fly higher than the mystery of dreams never knew. Why do mellow sounds ring silently without ever leaving memories on my lonely blues? We walk by the calls of nature, sing in harmony, pray for the love of the skies, and dance with the stars like a feminine ballerina, gazing across the stage in a soft-toed ballerina shoes. Welcome to the Artists of Poetry Cafe show, Poetically Speaking, hosted by Terry Benjamin and Ron C. McCray. As delighted as we are, we can't wait to engulf a new wave of presenting this platform to our audience. So, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. So now, let's get started.
Let's get started. This is Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word, and it's June 15th. Celebration, victory, liberation, all those things sort of come to mind as we think about Juneteenth. But the thing is that freedom, they said, was 1865. And, of course, there's been some dispute about that because how many of the slaves knew that that was the time that they were, quote, free. But I'd like to start the program with some quotations. And Laretha Foster-Bram, she says, good evening, Laretha. Always good to have you with us. And the quote of the day is, champions aren't made in the gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside of them, a desire, a dream, a vision. And this is from Muhammad Ali, who I call the people's champ. And also I want to share another quotation, and this is from Bob Marley. And he says here, and this is from a song called Redemption Song, and he says, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And that's something to think about. And the last quotation I want to share with you is from Mr. Tyler Perry, and he says that failure means try another way. Okay, so again, I believe that if we pay attention to our mindfulness, that we can get through anything that we have to go through. Richard Medley just checking in. Richard Medley is watching. How you doing, Richard? Good to have you on board. And so again, this is a holiday for some, but for some of us, we're on the job and we're working. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with you and my brother right here. And we're going to present a very thought-provoking and interesting program. But as always, and we start with Ron's poetry. What you got for us, Ron, on this Juneteenth celebration here?
You know, what's interesting, once again, good evening, and it's a pleasure for everybody to join us. And you indicated, and it's interesting because I was reading something in reference to freedom. Mm-hmm. And that's what's important. So my question is to everyone, are you free? Do you think you're free? Do you know for a fact that you're free? And how do you define your freedom?
That's right. That's a good point.
Because I could sit here and tell you're not free, all of us, because there's some chains hanging around some kind of way.
That's right.
But just in short, if I may, just to show you, I have a book here, just want to get into it and tell you, Gateway to Freedom.
Wow.
Gateway to Freedom, as many have known and know now, Harriet Tubman and many others, but outside of Harriet Tubman, you have to look at those you never heard about. So I'd like to read this one piece in here. This is Introduction, Rethinking the Underground Railroad. And let me read this in short. The 19th century most celebrated Black American first tasted freedom on September 4th, 1838, when he arrived in New York City as a 19-year-old fugitive slave. Frederick Bailey had long hoped to escape from bondage. As a youth in Maryland, he gazed out at the ships on Chesapeake Bay Bridge, seeing them as freedom's swift wings of angels. He secretly taught himself to read and write, understanding he later wrote that knowledge was the pathway from slavery to freedom. In 1836, he and 4 friends devised a plan to come by canoe onto the bay and somehow made their way north. Mm-hmm. But the plan was discovered, and before their departure, the 5 were arrested, jailed, and returned to their owners. And let me stop there for exactly.
Yeah, please.
Return to their owner. And so again, we know in our society today, we may think we're free, but how do you define it? Especially all the things that's going on to African American, whether you shot, choke, can't do this, can't do that, pulled over. And the only person you see on a regular basis is blacks being pulled over for whatever reason, just for being black. I'll come to your house. Well, you look suspicious. Oh, wow. So what is freedom? Yeah. So that's something to really, truly think about within yourself. Even those who are in the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah. Think about your freedom. Are you truly free? Technically, are you really free?
That's a good question, because again, freedom may mean different things to different people. But I think one of the biggest things on freedom, I think we can all agree with this, is freedom means that you have choices. You know, you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. And I think that's something that we strive for. But again, we're living in a world that has many challenges. And so when we come to you today, we come to you with an agenda. And so today's agenda is becoming the man of the moment. And we're going to go into that a little further on, because again, we have so many challenges today, so many things that we really need to look at. And I know when I was growing up, Ron, again, I looked toward the men in the community to have a certain amount of leadership. And so I think we still need that. We still need the leadership from our men and our mankind, but we have to know what we're doing. Catherine Jennings says, an open mind and heart receives on a regular, my freedom comes from my unleashing a divine courage. No change holding me. And this is K Sweetness. And I thank you for that. That is definitely some food for thought, to say an open mind and a heart. So again, these are things that we need to look at. Yeah? What else you got there for us, my brother?
Yes, I want to read this too. Come back to the other one later. Again, this is, as we identify, this month is Men's Month, Fathers, as Father's Day was on the 15th. But fathers every day. That's right. Men coming together, brothers coming together, as we always address now, brothers. And that's what's important. You have to identify brothers.
That's right.
And that's where the freedom, in essence, come together, when we can reach out and help one another to save ourselves from being in bondage. We have to be that village. Let me read this. Father's Day is Men's Month. Men's representations of fathers is strong and accurately reflect the needs of their children. The time they spend is invaluable for the care and upbringing essential for future growth and development. The worth of his time cannot quantify when the lessons imparted brings joy to the heart of the legacy, its foundation. Fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and caregivers are the foundation of life. They are the ones who step up to the forefront to support those who are struggling, both biological relatives and others, bringing love from near and far. Fathers, the foundation of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, are men who have grown into what they were destined to be. The wall of strength he builds day and night is the cold blues of winter, the sweltering heat rising in the garden, and the time from early morning to sunset that he chooses. He's a landscaper, carpenter, photographer, auto mechanic, electrician, and inventor of many things. But he's always there to read and tell the story of the level at his kids' campfire. After all, men are fathers. Fathers are men. What constitutes a man's ability to withstand tumultuous and shattering conditions? The road through his life, allowing him to continue rising regardless of the size of the challenges he faces. Father's Month is a time to recognize all the fathers who have worked and continue to work in the halls of adversity to bring about the warmth and security that supports safety in for their community. This recognition is not meant to glorify their accomplishment, but to acknowledge their willingness to endure any obstacle. His path is preserved in the archives of a rugged road journey. Today's freedom is a path towards unseen goals, yet belief is his guiding faith, navigating with the rod of truth. Father's Month is boundless, and his history is untold. Listen and feel the tears filled with hardship. His story receives little recognition for the pain he has endured at the hands of many who fail to understand that he is my brother of the keepers. So that's important, as you said, about freedom.
Very, very important. And again, you know, we need guidance. We need a vision, as I had stated in the quotation from Muhammad Ali, where he says here that champions are made from something that they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. And many times we can see the vision of our thinkers, of our leaders in books. And so briefly, I just want to present a few books to you. And this is a Mind, Body, and Books segment. And this book here is it's called The Poet Journalist by Aaron P. Dworkin. And again, it's a fine poet. It's a very fine book. And we want you to, as we present these books to you, you know, and maybe at your leisure, you can maybe put together a list. Later on in the program, we're going to concentrate on one particular book. But this is a book of poetry. Now, this second book here, this is from my library here, is called You Can Make It Happen, a 9-Step Plan for Success. And this is from Stedman Graham. And I just want to go into the book briefly and really maybe look at some of the steps that he outlines. Because again, when you're on a journey, you have to count your steps and you have to know where you are. And so again, in this book here, and again, he calls this a process, a success process. Step 1, check your ID. Step 2, create your vision. Step 3, develop your travel plan. Step 4, master the rules of the road. Step 5, step into the outer limits. Step 6, pilot the season of change. Step 7, build your dream team. Step 8, win by a decision. And step 9, commit to your vision. And I think the last one is, I mean, all of them are important, of course, but the last one, commit to your vision. Commit to what you're going to do, the dream from your vision. And the last thing I want to do, I want to go to a book here that's really now a big bestseller, and it's called The Man the Moment Demands. Master the 10 Characteristics of the Comprehensive Man, and this is from Jason Wilson. Now, Jason Wilson is a gentleman who's been writing quite a bit about men, quite a bit about how men, especially young men, need to become leaders, not just for themselves, but also for the community. And so this is his latest book. And it says here, be what the moment demands. Okay? It said, in a world where misinformation destroys the essence of manhood, and societal expectations push men into emotional incarceration, best-selling author and founder of the Cave of Adullam, Jason Wilson offers a path to freedom. That word again. The man the moment demands empowers you to become the right man in every moment by embodying the 10 characteristics of the comprehensive man. And one of those 10 characteristics is the fighter. the provider, the leader, the lover, the nurturer, the gentleman, the friend, the husband, the father, and the son. It's just like when you want to put yourself together in a complete package is mind, body, and spirit. And so these 10 characteristics all work together to be the man that we need for this particular moment. But Jason Wilson is not new to this type of instruction because, again, he has other books out as well, okay? Another book that he wrote called Cry Like a Man, Fighting for Freedom from Emotional Incarceration. And this is also by Jason Wilson. He says here, break free from the deception of misconstrued masculinity and discover the power, love, and self-control it takes to cry like a man. His grandfather's lynching in the Deep South, the murders of his 2 older brothers, his verbally harsh and absent father, and his mother's spiral into depression formed Jason Wilson's childhood. But it was his decision to acknowledge the emotions and yield to God's call on his life that made Wilson the man and leader he is today. As founder of one of the country's most esteemed youth organizations, Wilson has decades of experience in strengthening the physical, mental, and emotional spirit of boys and men. In this gripping, message-driven memoir, Wilson shares his story of discovering what it means to be a man in a world that considers male emotions taboo. And the last book that I want to share from the same author is called Battle Cry. This is the book Battle Cry. And it says here, Battle Cry, waging and winning the war within. Okay, he says here, the greatest battle you'll ever win is one within yourself. For decades, Jason Wilson was losing the war within, the internal battle that many men wage daily, but were never taught how to win. As a result, he could not combat his toxic thoughts and emotions. Instead, he was conquered by them and communicated without composure, hurting those he loved and himself. This went on until he renewed his mind by releasing years of past trauma. His life and relationships were transformed when he learned how to master his emotions and express them with self-control. In the process, Jason became a better husband, father, and leader. In Battle Cry, Jason equips you with the mental and spiritual weapons needed to wage and win your inner war by showing you how to, 1, master your emotions rather than be ruled by them. 2, win internal battles before they become external wars. 3, reject the world's definition of masculinity and embrace comprehensive manhood. Communicate more effectively with the people in your life. And last, release trauma from your past so you can live fully to your potential in the present. You can live beyond the limitations of your mind and finally experience the life you've always longed for. You can break through what you've been through. It's time to win the war within. And I share these books because so many times we as men, and I can attest to this, being very, very personal. I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. I knew my father, but I never lived with my father. My mother and my father never married. And I was always looking for that male role model because sometimes we need somebody to mentor us as men. And if you don't have it, you sometimes think a man is something that has to perform all the time. You got to be strong. You got to be hard. You got to be tough. And when you're not that, you feel less than a man. And I think so many men have been a victim of what we call toxic masculinity to the point where they don't even know themselves. And they're hurting inside, but they don't know how to express that. And consequently, you ever heard the expression, hurt people hurt people? Well, that's what happens when these men are hurting and there's no outlet, and then they don't have the words to really express how they feel. And so, Ron, I really like all the books by Jason Wilson. I think he's definitely a man's man. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a leader in his community. And for me, that is the epitome of a man. So when I read those books and I read his experiences and whatnot, I really see a true picture of a man. And I wish I had that as I was growing up. I mean, I had to sort of learn by hook or by crook, but I think I've learned my lesson, but I continue to learn my lessons. But again, for the men out there, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to look in the mirror and look at yourself in bright light, because in the final analysis, you're going to help yourself, but you're going to help the other people as well.
You know what's interesting, and those books are so profound, and especially the last one. And let me say this in short. And I always say this, for example, and we always heard a man ain't supposed to cry. Men and women are alike. I'll repeat that. Men and women are alike. Men have feelings. They have emotional feelings. The difference is between a man and a woman, for the most part, the fact that women express their emotion. A lot of times they come out and you don't know how it's going to come out. But a man who's not used to understanding his own emotion really do not understand how to deal with her emotion. Once you do a self-examination, just like this brother was saying in the book, when you do a self-examination and you see how things are bottled up, then you have to understand what is it that's keeping this stuff down. So let's look on the outside. You look at a bridge or a dam. A dam is blocked with something. And even today you hear the flood. The flood went over because it broke the dam, because it spilled out. The dam can't hold it. No more than those barriers inside of yourself. Get rid of the barriers. The barriers is the attitude, is the thinking. The attitude doesn't mean you have a negative attitude. It means I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why do I feel upset, lonely, or depressed? That's right. What is it? And this is for women too. Now you look at a percentage of that based on nature. Yes. Our flesh. Our flesh is like life. It changes, but you have to change to understand with the weather. Like you go hiking and boating and fishing. And one of the biggest things and the excuse is that you get on the wrong road, going down the wrong path, in the wrong park, sitting at the wrong bench, and you get mad at the world. And all of that negativity deals with the drugs, the alcohol. You want to fight, you're mad at somebody, hurt, and somebody's hurt, and that's all you hear is a loose song. I'm going to start the rap song. Hurt. But
I give you a beat.
But all that's important. So, if nothing else, those who have really stopped to think about it or need to think about it, Jesus wept. I'm quite sure the Prophet Muhammad wept. Moses wept in their own way, but they wept to get it out of their system. They confessed their faults. That's the other thing. What is the fault that you extended to somebody else that caused somebody else to hurt? Blame is your mouth, is your words. And women, sisters, understand that men have emotions too. You don't have to badger them with what's wrong. You just need to cuddle them the same way you want a man to cuddle you. Men, in the same token, just like women, they pamper themselves. You have to pamper yourself. Feel good about the inside to bring on the outside. Don't be afraid to go to the spa. Forget the barbershop all the time. That's fine. But go to the spa. Revive. Spa. When they treat you well. I just threw that out there. But the bottom line is really, like you said in those books, is so profound. It really deals with the emotional trauma that's inside of you. And you have to start looking at that. It could be small, medium, and it's the exact same thing with boys to rise up. You teach them. It's not about being a strong man, being a stiff, barbaric, or whatever case. It's how to tap into their own emotion. Because when that boy, that teen, that young man want to weep and cry, he don't know where to turn to because there's no men or brothers or whatnot to say, hey, man, it's all right. You can hug. Let me give you a hug. But what happened, that energy becomes a negative, and they're out there and creating something catastrophic that caused their life to end short.
But like you said, men have emotions. And I think one of the things in our communities, there's a saying. The saying is that we love our sons and we raise our daughters, which means that we love our sons to the point where they don't have to do anything, and when we raise our daughters, so the daughters have to learn how to cook, how to clean, how to do laundry, and this and that. I know when my first marriage, my first family, I was raising a boy and two girls, and I told my wife, I said, whatever you teach the girls, I want you to teach my son. And it really paid off for him, because now as single father, he can take care of his children. He can do the cooking, he can do the cleaning, he can do whatever he needs to do to support his family. Robert Cavistar says he's on deck. And hello, Robert. Good to see you out there. But again, as we all know, men need to learn how to take care of themselves. You know, we don't have to have a group of men who can't cook and clean for themselves. I mean, that's very poor, but sometimes they figure that's not manly. But then when you find you by yourself, you have to do those things. And the thing is that I blame the culture to a large extent. And as we go into our Music is Lit segment, I want to read a song that when I first heard it, I thought it was kind of cool, but the more I thought about it, I thought that, you know, we need to look at it a little closer, okay? And so this song is from 1973. And this song that I think we should look at is a song that we all know. And excuse me, it was not 1973, it's really 1966. And it's called It's a Man's World. And this is by James Brown. But the interesting thing about this song is that it was written by a woman. So, and one of his big hits. And it says here, this is a man's world. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't mean nothing without a woman or a girl. You see, man made the cars to take us over the road. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electric light to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat for the water like Noah made the ark. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't mean nothing without a woman or a girl. Man thinks about the little bitty baby girl and our baby boys. Man makes them happy because man makes them toys. And after man makes everything he can, do you know that man makes money to buy from other men? This is a man's world, but it wouldn't mean nothing, not one thing without a woman or a girl. He's lost in the wilderness. He's lost in bitterness. He's lost, Lord have mercy. He's lost in loneliness. It's a man's world, but it would mean nothing without a woman or a girl. And Kay Jennings says, men have emotions, questions. When did that happen? And she laughed, LOL. But she says, as a follow-up, a strong man is a man who knows who he is. All men need to know how to cook. That's almost like basic. But
hold up now, I know how to cook.
I know you do. but again, some men, they think it's a womanly thing to learn how to cook. But again, and if you want to call it a man's world, I don't, but if you want to call the world a man's world, it says that it's nothing without a woman or a girl. And so I go to another song, and this is from the Manahattans, and this is from 1973. And the song is There's No Me Without You. Mm. And I want to digress for a second, and Catherine Jenkins says here, men, are you happy about the world you made? That's a good question. We're going to get back to that. But again, I want to go to this song here. There's no me without you. And it says here, baby, you are my life. And without you, I'm an empty shell. There's no house without a home. And there's no man who wants to be alone. There's no child without a dream. And there's no joy without a meaning. That's how I know. That's how I know there's no me without you. There's no me without you. There's no life without a plan. Every woman wants herself a good man. There's no heartaches without tears. And time just can't go by without the years. That's how I know there's no me without you. You know there's no stars without the night. And there's no wrong without a right. There's no good without a bed, and when one man is happy, the other man is sad. That's how I know there's no me without you. There's no me without you. That's how I know there's no me without you. That's how I know there's no house without a home. And there's no man who wants to be alone. There's no me without you. And so again, it's I mean, I think that's the way that God planned it, that men have women and women have men. It's just that if a man is not trained in the right way, and if he's not, intelligent enough to try to find a way for himself, it's going to be a problem. And I agree with you, Catherine Jennings. Men messed it up. I thought we'd have another chance when Kamala Harris became president, but that wasn't to be. But I think, again, sometimes because men don't listen to women, we find ourselves in a bad situation. I'm not saying that women have all the answers, but I think that men and women coming together, I think that combination can really, really help us. And so I appreciate what everybody said. And the last song that I want to read is from Sly Stone, also known as Sylvester Stewart. And he talks about life. Because, as we get older, we realize that life is precious, but life has to be lived in the right way. And this song, I think, is very philosophical in the sense that it gives us an expanded idea about life. And it's called Life. And this is from Sly and the Family Stone. This is from 1970. And it says here, life, past the clouds. You don't have to come down. Life. Tell it like it is. You don't have to die before you live. You might get angry sometimes, but don't let it turn you around. All you got to do is get your living down. Life. Past the clouds, you don't have to come down. You might be scared of something. Look at Mr. Stewart. He's the only person he has to fear. He'd only let himself get near. He don't trust nobody. If he stopped being so shady, he could have a nice young lady. Life. Tell it like it is. You don't have to die before you live. You're going to be sad sometime. You might wake up to find your pet is gone, but maybe he's tired of being alone. Dog is hip. It has to go. If you're loving, you can't be sad no more. Life. Past the clouds. You don't have to come down. Life. Tell it like it is. You don't have to die before you live. And that's Sly from Sly and the Family Stone. And I like that part where he says, Ron, he says here, you don't have to die before you live. And, so, and a lot of us, man, we get to the point where we're on our deathbed and then we wake up. It's almost over, but now, whoa.
Exactly.
I should have been doing this, and this, and we haven't done it, and it's almost too late. But as the song says, you don't have to die before you live. And so today, when we talk about men and men in society today, I truly believe that men want to be better. They want to be better men. But we need some guidance. We need some coaching. And we're at our Food for Thought segment, and we're going to look at this book a little closer. It's called Becoming Kings, and this is by Johnny King. And it says here, the subtitle, the modern man's path to being powerful, purpose-driven, and fulfilled in a world that has taught you not to be. It's so many times that men and especially black men are put down to the point where we don't rise again. And again, we have to understand that we have the keys to a lot of things. And I just want to start in this book here. I want to go to page 43. And it says here, this is from Johnny King. He says, happiness, on the other hand, comes from within, and it is what lasts. Okay, happiness from within is what lasts. Okay, and he quotes here Marcus Aurelius, and he says here, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Again, this is the emotional fitness. We know about physical fitness, but what about emotional fitness? And I just want to give a definition. What is a king? And again, a king is not a tyrant. See, so many men think that to be a king of the household is to rule with just force and no forethought, force and no compassion. And again, that's not what it is. And this book here gives us a really pretty good definition of what is a king. It says here, a man who leads with confidence, not arrogance, who keeps his word. He listens and makes others feel safe and seen. He is willing to speak openly about his past, his transgressions, and his pain without anyone having to pry it out of him. He shares what he has learned and how he has changed. He is committed to his purpose, but not so much that it consumes him. He owns his stuff and is consistently willing to grow in his relationships. He is an incredible friend and treats strangers with kindness. He is devoted to protecting those he loves and being of service in whatever ways he can. He challenges himself physically and mentally. He has some kind of spiritual practice that reminds him of who he truly is. And so a man is someone who is constantly, every day, daily, in the habit of building his mind, his body, and his spirit. And as much as we talk about that, and you have to understand, these three things work together. It's mind, body, and spirit. It's not just mind and body, because we need the spirit. And so again, to be a better man, and from my experience of being a man for almost 75 years old, I've learned some things, and I've tried to be the best man that I can, but I need help. That's why I always got my face in the book, and I'm always listening to people who can help me. But what say you? Is it hard to be a man?
You know, everything
is it impossible test? Mission impossible.
Everything you express is right on point, and I'd like to extract just a couple points. And I want to take this one point, and then I want to share something personal. But the one point that I was just thinking here, when you look back in time, not so much in the movies, but a lot of the movies portrayed that a man who was beaten up with pain inside comes home to his lady and sits there and silently and maybe weep a tear, and she comes to him and just holds him and said, baby, he crawls up in her arms and he weeps like there's no tomorrow. He expresses the pain, the story, what he's going through, and she just gently and sensitively just rubs him and said, baby, it's going to be okay. See, one of the most important things today is that here more men, in a lot of ways, a large percentage of men do not get the comfort that they're really looking for, and yet they don't express and don't know how to express. When I say they don't know how, it's because a lot of brothers don't come around and embrace brothers to say, brother, man, he's okay. How can we converse and whatnot, give you some understanding? So this way, when you go home, then the woman that is there, your lady that is there, knows how to soothe her man. We talk about this all the time.
We do.
You know,
it's important.
the pain, it's important. I mean, we talk about emotional state. We talk about love and whatnot. Excuse me. And yet we hear all the time, there's no good men out here. Men don't understand. Well, wait a minute. Rather than crucify that statement, why not take that statement home and cultivate that statement? Why are you expressing it? Is it personal? Is it your encounter? Because again, when you go to the store and get something off the shelf, I don't care if it's Dollar Tree, Dollar General, near markets, whatever, you get what you pay for. But what you pay for and what you picked up the shelf doesn't necessarily mean it's damaged goods.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of people who were hurt, male or female, who ultimately had their opportunity to express their freedom because it was cultivated. That's what's important. And again, as we talk today on this show and each and every time we come together, we talk about the internal, we talk about the emotion, you had the books. Those books you just presented are on point. Those are writers who's telling their story, whether it's male or female. But how many are reading or listening or even engaging or trying to get a sense of understanding? There's absolutely no reason why whatsoever, unless you're infected with some type of dark evilness.
Yeah,
but there's no reason why brothers and sisters can't come together to help one another in a conversation, to share, to talk too. Because the more you hide, sisters, the more brothers hide. And the more you hide, guess what? Then a volcano erupts, and now you got an explosion. Everybody trying to run for help. But it's too late, because unfortunately, it says it is. Not only maybe a brother might be beating up on a woman jumping a man's face, and vice versa, and now you stomping the kids and throwing them out the window. I'm saying that because we hear that on the news on a regular basis. You have to grasp your inner self to say, who am I and what is my reasons of purpose for being? Why do I do the things that I do? Why did I do the things that I've done? And the one sister says, what was it that, men, are you happy the way you made the world? Something like that.
Yeah, right.
You know?
That's
but,
right. Yeah, y'all did this.
And the one thing you read about James Brown, you know, it might be identified in the sense of man's world. But what good is he without a woman? That's right, man. God has created man in his image and likeness. From there, he had taken from his side, according to Scripture, and I go by the Scripture, that he had taken from that rib, from the left side, a woman, a helpmeet. Brothers understand a helpmeet. Women understand that's the foundation to support you, to secure who you are and what you need. We all need to be loving and comforting to each other. We all need to embrace one another. You can't raise a child. I don't care if you're single. You can't raise a child and teach let me say this.
Yeah, please. Say this.
And I'm kind of on the road. A woman cannot teach a girl, how to be a woman. You can't do it. And I'm going to say that straight up. You can challenge me or whatever you want. And vice versa. A man can't teach a boy how to be a man. You see, this is where the 80-20, and I use that because when you look in Proverbs 30, it's a mother who teaches her son to wash your head, clean on your arms, brush your teeth, look like who's that girl, whatever. And it's a man who teaches his daughter how to be a woman. So when you're out there battling, beating up on your woman and stomping her, are you really beating up on yourself? Will you jump on a man to do the exact same thing? And women, you get out there and gossip and do all this and that, but do you talk to your man? Do you listen to his pain? Do you understand his pain? He just want a hug. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Let me say this, because I'm on a roll, but let me shift a little bit. And I need to express this. A personal friend of mine that I've known since junior high school. You know, I've been married for 50 years. And we're talking about a man, we're talking about love, we're talking about pain and whatnot. Here's a brother I've known, again, most of his life. And it's another brother. Right now I'm talking about Greg Stewart, who unfortunately, sadly as it is, lost his wife just a few days ago after 50 years. Wow. And so you've been in a relationship with somebody for 50 years. I was there at his wedding. You know, he got married a second. The other brother, his name is Jay. You know, he got married first, and then Greg got married, then I got married. And then Jay got a divorce, and then I got a divorce. But here this brother, we all still remain close, who lost his wife, who passed away in her sleep. You see, we're talking about pain. We're talking about hurt. We're talking about mate. We're talking about being involved with somebody for years. Now, there's nobody can express what this brother is dealing on the inside. His kids. His kids are grown. But think about the pain now from this point on. You see, this is what we're talking about. You see, you have to look at all of that. That's what's happening today. And tomorrow's not promised. Yesterday is gone. But you have to think about, what can I do today to help somebody, to heal somebody, your son, your brother, your nephew, whatever. All that scrambling back and forth. And I come back to this one thing I said in the beginning. Are you free? You're not free because you're shackled with somebody else's control around your neck. Your emotions is tangled up in somebody's control, somebody else's attitude telling you how you should act. There's no way, shape, form, or fashion that a woman should be calling the cops on a man, an outsider. In the exact same token, there's no way, shape, form, or fashion that a brother should be taking all his anger out on a sister. You see, this is what's going on today. You see, we celebrate Father's Day and Mother's Day, Men's Month, Women's Month, but are we celebrating each other's togetherness?
Yes. And it's interesting because Catherine Jenkins, she's the one who asked the question, said, man, are you happy about the world you made? And then she goes on to say, When men get a better understanding of the profound worth of a woman, things will change for the better. And I agree with you. It says here, man's first home is the womb of a woman. Treat her like you recognize. And I think what Catherine is suggesting, that we have a dialogue. She says here, sending my sincere sympathy to our beloved brother who is mourning the loss of his wife. And again, showing the brother compassion. I think, again, like Ron said, sometimes women don't realize that men, we need a hug. you know, we need to have someone to hug us and to be with us. And going back into the book briefly, again, many of men are committed to being a good man if they understand what the blueprint is. And it says here, who are you committed to being? That's the question. And it says here, with all the study, research, and reading I've done over the years, I've come to notice a common thread woven through the lives of all great men, and we want to be great men. That common thread is they all have lived by a code and a way of being, whether they're talking about going back to thousands of years, to the times of the Middle Ages, or referring to current day. Men who have been worthy of emulation have all lived their lives by a code. On the flip side of the coin, there are countless men who have acquired great wealth and power only to use it to abuse others. These are far from being kings. And we see that. We see men with power abusing their power and hurting people because they don't understand that child in Africa, where you cut off the funding that would feed that child, and those children are dying in Africa because you cut off the U.S. aid, and you don't look at that, you don't think about that. But you had the power to prevent that. But because you're not a true king in the way this book is talking about kings, you really have squandered your power, and you have done harm. You have done harm to many, and you continue to do harm because you have no sense of what is right, what is ethical, because you don't have a moral compass. You don't have any ethics that you stand by. You don't have any commitment to excellence and being the best human being that you can possibly be. And that's why the world is in bad shape. And I agree with you, Catherine. Yeah. Men, are you happy at the world you made? No, I'm not happy about that world, because that's not the world that I as a man aspire to.
I'd like to get a little art of conversation. This is not a battlefield, it's art of conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to look at what was just expressed as it was, men having a better understanding of women. Mm-hmm. I say this. It's important for each side to understand his or herself first. Mm-hmm. I cannot understand you if I have not learned anything about me. And if I have not learned anything about me, and if I know anything about you, I can't understand you if you have not understood yourself. Mm-hmm. This is where what we're talking about, how do you have a conversation? It doesn't matter if you're feeling irritable, whatever the case would be. I write, and when I write centered around life, poetry, poetry, relationship, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I look at it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And so let me just give you the title of this one of mine. And this title, I Need a Whisper. And so let me just give you an example. Here's a woman, a sensitive woman, who needs a woman, but it's silently. She's not expressing it. Her moves, the tone of her mannerism says to a man, if he's paying attention, she's saying, I need a whisper. In other words, I need a hug. So this is on both sides. When the man comes home and he's sitting there and whatnot, it's not all about the game. Okay, what is he just sitting there pondering over a thought? He's saying, I just want to whisper. I just need somebody to hug me. Do you do that? You see, no matter how you look at it, it becomes a battlefield when you say, well, men need to do this, men need to do that, men need to do that, women should do it. Hold up. Baby, can we talk?
That's right.
What's going on?
Conversation.
Even if you can't understand what's happening, because the body changes just like the weather. But at least express that. Baby, I don't know what's going on with me, but I just feel a little melancholy. No problem. I don't have to try to examine the reasons why. All I need to do is just be there to comfort you.
That's right.
There's a whole lot of good men out here, But see, a whole lot of good men that's out here is rejected because a lot of women are looking for that particular man. You can't take something that you think is good only to find out it didn't work for you, but you want to hang on to it. See, you have the opportunity and you have the responsibility to do a self-examination. What am I really looking for? Am I getting what I need or what I want? See, God gives us what we need, not what we want, but He gives you the choice to pick what you want.
That's true.
But whatever you took, whatever you got, whatever you have, then you have to understand it's a learning process. This is what I done. This is what I chose. I can't get mad at him or her. Then the art of conversation, how do we depart? There are songs, and it's important, all the songs that you talk about, music are lit. Listen to the lyrics. Listen to the stories that are being told. It's so profound. Even what the brother just read here, that's what's important.
And the thing is, you know, again, just two things that I want to bring out. The one thing that I want to really emphasize is the fact that men are really, I think men want to be better. I think men want to be a king to your queen. And the thing is that I think we really have to sit down and we really have to look at some basic premises. Like, for example, in the book here, it talks about an extraordinary life on your terms. And I want us to really get this concept. It says here, many people confuse being rich with being wealthy. In his book, The Millionaire Next Door and Stop Acting Rich, Joseph Stanley explains how the rich, those who often seek the limelight, are those who spend their money on the acquisition of material things, and yet they're often still addicted, lost, and unfulfilled. Compare that to those who are truly wealthy, those who may or may not have acquired just as much and yet are deeply fulfilled. And why is that? To piggyback upon what Stanley says, while the rich spend their money on things that fulfill their need for significance and to look successful, tangible goods can never fill the deep void of a lack of self-worth. Okay, so again, you're rich from your self-worth. And Catherine goes on to say here, she says here, sending Patty Bell, she says, when you've been blessed, check those words out. Okay? Again, there's so much wisdom in our songs. There is a message in the music. Sheila Bird says, good evening, Terry and Ron. And so again, this is a conversation that can go on for many, many programs, and we will revisit this again because it just, Ron, I think you really open up an opportunity for us to come together as men and women and really have some real serious conversations, because I do believe in all of this chaos, there's love underneath, and we're going to reach out to couples that have been married for a long time, and I just want to sit with them and ask them, how did you make it 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Because again, I think that's something that we need to interrogate, and we need to talk about, because again, I mean, in the final analysis, all we have is each other. All we have is each other, and we need to hold on to each other, but we can't hold on to each other and be happy unless we understand each other.
And one of the biggest things is about being honest with yourself.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to say in a lot of ways, 99.9% of things expressed are excuses, because too many don't want to take ownership. I don't care if it's a tiny bit, because a tiny bit will start a fire that starts an inferno, whether it's inside or outside. And so no matter how you look at it, it's about it's about being honest with yourself. What did I say or do? Now, if you're innocent and something happens, well, that's a different story, because again, it can be justified. I don't mean justified by negative. I mean justified by getting help to support. Brothers need to support brothers, because we are there to protect the sisters. And in the short, I saw one of the comments, I think it was Catherine, who indicated in reference to men coming to a mother's womb. Absolutely. Because again, for those who believe, God has created man, and from man, you know, he took from the man, he took his rib that created a woman. From there, yes, through the channels of her wombs, we come, male and female. But the thing is understanding how do we connect back to each other. So if a man comes through a mother's womb, okay, then why is she battling with him and why is he battling with her? It's understanding what is the nature of men and women. That's what's important. No matter how you look at it, we can have a dialogue, and like you said, we can go on forever.
That's right, yeah.
But we don't have that much time. Time goes. But you open up a can of worms, and I have no problem putting it out on the stove, laying it out, and we can delve into it. Because again, all that you have, music is lit, all the literature.
Yes.
We can take the literature and those who read, those who don't, and those who whatever case it be. But let's come together because it's about being honest with yourself first.
That's right. And understand, we don't have all the answers, okay? It's poetically speaking, because I wanted us to have a really broad platform to talk about many different things. And we come to you on Thursday from 6 to 7 and Sundays from 5 to 6 p.m. Not to give you all the answer to your question, but to open up a dialogue. Like my brother always says, it is about the art of conversation. And the only thing second to that is the art of listening, okay? Because we put something out there, and as we talk to you, we're also talking to ourselves. Because after we finish the program, we're going to continue this conversation, continue this dialogue, because I do believe that we are going through some dark times, but we can get through it if we come together as a community of men and women and children, boys and girls, and our elders, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, because we can get through this. And Ron, as always, this time just goes so quickly. And according to my clock, we have about 4 minutes left. And so again, we're going to, again, as always, we go to Brother Ron and sort of bring things together and sort of get us out of here. But again, this is a conversation that is going to continue.
I'm going to say this in short. Sisters and brothers, sisters, stop the gossip. You know, you don't share something negative to go to somebody else and feed that fire, because gossip feeds gossip. Next thing you know, you got a bunch of mess and you start to believe it. When I was in school, professor said 90% of gossip is true. It becomes true because everybody starts to believe it. And brothers, you can't go to the club and the bars or wherever and complain. You know, so it's about coming together. Say, baby, what's wrong? I love you. I care about you. Brother, sister, whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, we got 1 minute. And let me read this on a lighter note, okay?
Yes.
This one is titled, The Flaming Echo of Poetry. The flaming words of poetry ignites the fire burning in the archives as the audience clings to the cascade of lyrics, dancing with soulful grace down memorable lanes into the house of spoken words. Poetry ignites with a rush of images as each word spreads across the platform, jolting many from their seats, clapping their hands, snapping their fingers, and shifting their feet while shouting for more. Poetry is the foundation of life, whether spoken, sung, whispered, painted, or expressed through the art of a meaningful, mature conversation. The tone of each verb resonate through the earlobes with sounds that reveal new stories yet to be told. There is a deep-seated, uncovered opportunity for many to reveal their hidden talent before the world slips into the shadows of regret. Don't leave home without it, and don't bury your dreams in isolation, laminating over someone who has seized their chance to step out in faith simply because they believe it was time to pursue opportunity through the door, seeking a chance and realizing their dreams are being fulfilled. A long time coming before the door opportunity fades again into the shadows of misery. I don't have much time to finish this. And so again, I just wanted to share that because again, the art of conversation. Don't walk down the street, don't say hello, and don't say there's no good men out there. That's a bunch of bull. I'm sorry to say it. You know, there's a lot of good men out here, a lot of good women out here. Right. The fact is, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. But the bottom line is that you get what you pay for. But once you get it, you return that product back to the store, don't you, with a receipt. Well, why not go back to God and say,
Buyer's
look, Lord,
remorse.
I'm returning this receipt, this product, because it's not working for me. So again, we're not about the abuse or the battle. We don't get into that. It's an art of conversation. We will continue to with this. So again, continue to reach out because your comments, your voice is extremely important. So with that, we truly want to say, in the most humble way, enjoy, be safe, take care, and continue to love one another because we're here to reach out to you.
And on that note, we say good night.